Hello, good morning, good afternoon. We continue with our 6 to 6 presentation today. We just finished our first segment, then broke off a little bit for a break and the church service, and now we are continuing. After this, we are going to go into the UPND virtual rally, and then we are going to come back to close our day today. We are highlighting issues that are going to come up this month. We are looking at the past and everything else, and planning together, brainstorming together, motivating each other, so that we can do the right thing on August 12th. And so, with us here today, we have General Chipakupaku, who is my co-host, my co-presenter, and so we are very excited to have him. I am in Calgary, Alberta, and it's very late in the night. Well, very early in the morning, rather. And I know that Scottish time and several other times, it could be daytime. So all of you have unfair advantage on me. So please bear with me. To keep me running, I have got something here. I won't bite it because tachimoneka wino muntu. Alipa TV. So I'm going to be biting it as we go. Okay. And so good evening, particularly, it's not even good evening, good morning, particularly in Chwempala. General, here we are again. We continue with our 6 to 6 presentation.
Thank you so much, Munsha. And I feel sorry for you that you have not slept. And we should give you the time to go and sleep for a few hours before we continue. And I think welcome to our participants from Norway and Percy from London. JR and Mr. Nkwilimba from Zambia. We really wanted to get your views on what we started off yesterday with the deaths and the violence in Zambia and the mysterious cargo which arrived through the chartered ECZ plane. And we also, this morning, we're looking at the Mr. Lungu's story, how he took over leadership and the issues of corruption in his government and the issues of what Mr. Lungu really stands for. We noticed that if he doesn't forgive people, he closed the post, he closed the Prime TV, and is prepared to do anything to remain in power. So we just wanted to hear your views, gentlemen, and at the same time, we're encouraging Zambians to go and vote in big numbers. We also this morning interviewed a number of candidates, Mrs. Piri from Kabwe Central and Percy Chato from Wacha. And we also briefly talked to the mayor of Kabwe, David Domingo. So over to you, our contributors. We start probably with our man in Zambia, Mr. Nkwilimba. Over to you. What are your views? What do you think with what we have discussed so far? And probably what other topics do you think we should raise as we continue? Over to you.
Thank you, General Chipakupaku and Mr. Munsha. Maybe let me begin by saying what I haven't said before in this forum. I'm actually currently the secretary of the International Relations Committee of the UPND, and we value what our brothers and sisters in diaspora are doing, such as this program. So although I'm here in my personal capacity, know that actually I'm the secretary of the International Relations Committee of the UPND. Coming to the topics, this morning you discussed the genesis of Mr. Lungu's leadership. And I totally agree, and that has always been my view, that the beginning, the foundation of that leadership was wrong. That leadership started with pangas, sticks, violence. And when a leadership begins like that, there's a tendency for leaders actually to create a culture around them. And that is what we have seen, a culture that has been taken into the presidency of the country. For the last 7 years, beginning with what happened in Kabwe, there has been a trail of violence. Many people have been maimed. Some have been killed. And it's so worrying that nothing, that the government, the police has done nothing to bring those that have maimed others, killed others, simply because they come from the opposition. Some people have been, look at the boy who was killed in Kawoma, killed by a known person, a known cadre, in the front of political leaders. To this day, that person has not been arrested. So the genesis, the beginning of our man's leadership, the foundation was wrong. And that's what we are seeing. There's now a culture of violence, a culture where people can do anything they want with impunity. Nothing is going to happen to them. And this is something that we have made over the last 7 years. Violent cadres would kill people, would maim people, and nothing happens to them. So everybody learns from that and says, as long as I belong to the party in government, I can do anything with impunity and nothing will happen. And that's how this violence has grown. We have had leaders, we have had the members of parliament like Tutu Ngulube, telling the police to break the legs of those that agree with them. That's where we are. And the only way to stop this violence, since we know that if the man who is the president wanted, this violence could end within a day. But he doesn't want to end it, probably because he benefits from it. But the only way to end this is to bring a new government. This is the appeal that we are making all the Zambians that are registered to vote. This is a serious issue, and every voter must take it upon themselves, ensure that we end this by ourselves, because nobody else will at the moment. Those who expect to end it are not prepared it. So really the appeal is in the next 11 days, every voter's guard should go into that polling booth. The 7 years of violence, the 7 years of corruption with impunity, and not to allow this regime to continue beyond 12th August. I also want to make, you said something about the church, the fact that Zambia is a Christian nation. I think there's some good in that, but as we all know, there's no way a country can be a Christian country. Itself can't be a Christian. But it's the Christian values that we aspire to hold as a country. The Christian values, which do not just come. They cannot just come because we say we are a Christian nation. These are values that have to be lived. Unfortunately, part of the church has failed to provide an example of how we can live these values. We have Christian leaders that have chosen to be Christians for a person and not Christians for Christ. And because people have chosen to be Christians for a person, even the serious national programs that are meant to bring about reconciliation have become partisan. The 18th August, which is a day of national prayer and fasting and reconciliation, it has become a joke. It has become a partisan event where it is really a PF event. Meanwhile, they are trying to invite everybody to and participate when they themselves know. You can see what has happened in the last 2 years. everybody's called for this meeting of prayer, fasting, and reconciliation, and yet some people are put in special positions. So they are already going there as above others. And there's no reconciliation. And look at it, they say it's for reconciliation, and yet they do not bring any issues to the table to say these are the issues that we need to reconcile over. So if you don't identify the problem, if you don't identify something that separate, that does not unite you as a country, you want to reconcile. If you don't identify them and deal with them, that prayer and fasting is nothing. It amounts to nothing. If they were serious about the day of prayer and fasting and reconciliation, they should have been bringing the issues that are dividing us as a country. They should have brought violence on that day. They should have, those who are committing violence, they should have been present to say, we realize that we are dividing this country because of violence. And we are here on this day of prayer and fasting and reconciliation to say we are going to say no to violence from now onwards.
Okay.
As we don't identify the issues divide us, there is no way that fasting is going to be effective. So I think we need to be serious. We need to come to a point where we have neutral people to organize the event of that day. Neutral people from the church, people who will say these are the issues that divide us. Tribalism. Who is promoting tribalism? Those people who are promoting tribalism, they should come and say, we repent for the tribalism that we have been promoting, and ask for forgiveness from that they have been maligning. As long as that doesn't happen, that day of prayer and fasting is just a camouflage. Nothing will happen that is positive. So yes, you are identifying these issues. The leadership of the current president and what we need country really in a new team that is going to promote unity that is going to end the violence that has eaten us up to this point.
Thank you so much, Mr. Nkulimba. There's a feedback. I'm not sure why. But thank you so much for that. What do you think about the cargo, Mr. Nkulimba? You didn't mention that. That cargo which came with the ballot boxes.
Yeah, that is really unfortunate. Again, you see, my background has been in monitoring elections. The whole process. And I was the first country director for this Foundation for Democratic Process. So this is something that has been really something that is in my heart. And when I observe what is happening, I think that there was a lapse on the part of the opposition that were at the airport when they were receiving the ballot boxes and they saw that consignment of foreign objects. They should have actually demanded to inspect all the boxes and not just opening one or two and say they couldn't inspect others because there are too many. That's the reason why they should have done it, because there are too many. You don't know what else is in those boxes. Could there be extra ballot papers already marked? Could there be other gadgets that are going to be used against a citizen to manipulate the electoral process? I'm really disappointed that we failed to demand that those boxes be inspected. And I think it's not yet too late. There's still room to follow up. And where are those boxes now? Who is looking up boxes? Who is keeping them? And there is need to be transparent. Whoever is keeping those boxes, there is need to be transparency. Are they going to be kept safe and unutilized until after the the elections, my suggestion would be to keep those things closed and locked up until after the elections. Or else somebody is going to move in there with the impunity that we know that is. Somebody will just walk in and they demand that they get those gadgets and go use them for whatever they want to use them for. So it's unfortunate that a chartered plane that was bringing ballot boxes brought in who is not known.
Thank you.
It would have been fair if it is one of those that went to Dubai and they wanted to use the opportunity to buy things for their businesses. It would have been better for them to own up and say, this is my cargo. I thought I would use the plane since there would be free space. And again, this is something that the other wings of government need to be interested in.
Yeah.
If it's an individual who brought those items for personal use or for personal business, he's trying to avoid paying tax, then the customs, they should have come in and be interested in what is happening. Can say for now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Kodimba. Thank you so much for your contribution. Now let's move on to London. Percy, the same questions and probably building up. It's on the violence, Mr. Lungu's attitude, and the corruption. Over to you, sir. Unmute yourself, Percy.
I'm more interested in the corruption, the cargo, and the violence. Because for me, I find everything together, basically. They are all attached to each other. The reason I say they are all attached to each other is because let's begin from just our own president. I remember the first time I spoke on the program recently, I said, the person who pretends to be humble. And I really mean that. Because if you are humble, it just doesn't just mean that it's your appearance is there, your humbleness. No, you have to show it in action. But so far, our president, the action he's shown the heart of being ruthless while smiling at you. So just from him, that comes down into violence, because he is actually the head of that violence. Because if the president can't say, no, this is enough, and if the police can't manage to quell the violence around the country, he can call on the soldiers. He's got the army, he's got the national service, he's got a lot of things to use to quell that violence. And if I also rewind a bit, during UNIP time, we had those vigilantes. Yeah, those vigilantes, you correct me because you were people in those higher positions. You are not a vigilante, but I'm just saying you correct me if I'll quote something wrong. For me, when I was growing up, when you see a vigilante, it was a person who didn't have a very good grasp of the UNIP policies, in terms of they can't explain to you that our economy is ABCD and things are ABCD, so the government is doing this and this and this for our country to be good. So to me, those guys and the cadres, there's not much difference. Because these cadres, you can't, unless you bring, I would like any Zambian to bring me a cadre from intercity and all that, and we come and have an economical talk. Because economics, that's what drives our country, to be realistic. Yeah, and at the moment, our president is not interested in our economy. He's more interested to come back in power. That's one. Two, is more interested to feed his pocket. The reason I say that again, if we go back again during UNIP time, Kaunda ruled Zambia for 27 years. How much did he retire with? Or should I put it in a nice way to today's language? How much did Kaunda steal?
Nothing.
When you compare to these guys, it's like stealing, it's a hobby. No minister can come on national TV when people are suffering and then he's telling you that he's doing 2 million shopping. How can you go and do a 2 million kwacha shopping when people you are busy telling people to go and eat candle?
Yeah.
You know, so it's all those things, they all come down to corruption, because there's only a very few people who are really eating the money. We've had a lot of career politicians, not politicians who are there to serve the people. We have politicians who are there to serve their own pockets. E.g., we've got a lot of examples, even the president himself. Consider the president, the time he was just doing a normal job. I've seen his house in Chawama. I've seen his house in Chawama. Yeah, the job he was doing, what he was doing, yeah, it was a fair house to build. Now suddenly the person who had that house is competing with basically the footballers. Let's be realistic, and I'm talking about these boys who are now playing in the Premiership. That's the league our president is in terms of money, because those boys in the next 5-6 years, if they continue to develop, we'll be saying that each one has got maybe 100 million or 35 million in his account. And that's the league our president is in just. And how much, actually, Mr. Chkwakwaku, how much does a president salary is? How much is the president's salary? I think that should be public.
With allowances, I could be wrong, with allowances, not more than 80,000 kwacha per month.
So that 80,000 kwacha, let's be realistic. And those are the same people who laugh at people who are in diaspora, yeah. So that's if some of these people, the same people they laugh about that they clean fishes, if they had to convert the money they earn into kwacha, they earn more than the president himself.
Well, I do.
Thank you. But do you have that money that the president has?
No.
So it's common sense. There's nobody who can amass such wealth in such a short period of time, unless all of us in Zambia are dunderheads. We don't think, or we don't have common sense. We've never been to school. We've never been taught. But if we've been taught, all of us, we know that our president has done something for him to be rich. And how come all ministers are businessmen? They only become businessmen when they've stolen enough.
Yeah.
Now they're businessmen. As soon as they're out of power, they won't be businessmen, because everything will be gone. Basically, that's on my corruption and our leadership. Now, on the issue of that cargo, for me, honestly speaking, that cargo, if you ask me, my opinion is that was just a tiny bit. I can assure you, that's my opinion. I can assure you that there are other funds already in the country and being used. You've only just found a bit on top of just tiny bit. That's my opinion. Because if they've managed to do that, what else have they done? As you can see their history, they've amassed the wealth they've amassed. Don't you think they've already got funds inside? It will be up to us, the citizens, to be alert and to make sure that those in charge of the polling stations are carrying their duties fairly, not doing it in terms of who's given me kamono. Basically, that's as much as I can say.
So what are you saying to the Zambian voters, Percy, now that we've only got 12 days to go? The likelihood that we have this violence, people are being hacked, and we're 42 people who have been arrested. We've got 2 deaths, and we are likely to have, that's my take again, that we're likely to have more violence because PF doesn't want the voters to go and vote in big numbers. So what is your message to Zambians who are going to vote on the 4th?
For me, I would encourage them to go quite early in the morning. Because in most cases, what I noticed, I remember during in 2016, is it 2016 or 2015, the other elections? I was in Zambia that time. Yeah. When they finished, like when they were confirming that PF are the ones who won the elections, I was in Zambia.
Yeah.
And the attitude I saw with the cadres, it was different from the times I was there. And then when I went last year, when I saw the behavior of the cadres, you can't open your mouth when a cadre is there. You can't say anything about the president. You can't disagree with the PF policies if there's a cadre there. For me, I would encourage the people of Zambia, if they come with their money, take it. They give you the Allegaria, take it. When you are in the booth to vote, you only be the only one there. You vote with your heart, not with what people are giving you. The same PF, they're the same people who were saying, don't you kubeva. The same principle applies to them. That's my opinion. I would prefer all Zambians to wake up in the morning, do your voting. As there are rumors that by 10 o'clock the PF supporters should have voted and they want to start violence, so that basically blocking roads and pouring to polling stations so that people don't go. That's what I would think they would want to do. So I would suggest they go quite early in the morning to vote.
Thank you so much, Percy. Thank you so much for that. And I think it's very, very important to send that clear message that Zambians would like to change. And the only way we can change this corrupt government is to vote them out. And that's our democratic right. Musha, over to you.
Yes. And what I noticed there with waking up early and getting ready on in August, we are already in August now. This is surprise. The August we were planning for, August. It's now August today, and what we are appealing to our people, and this is the most important message that they need to get. I'm getting feedback.
Yeah. I think let's mute ourselves.
Okay. So no, I don't think it's you, General. And so what is happening is, this is the most important message that we want our people to receive here. It's to wake up very early in the morning, go and line up at the election polling stations and get ready to vote as early as possible. It's going to be a very peaceful day. In fact, just the day before the election, once the Electoral Commission of Zambia bans elections, a campaign, which is likely to be on the eve, on the evening of the eve of the election. Once that is done, there will be a lot of peace that is going to prevail. People must go and line up. People must go and ensure that they cast their vote. We need to dispel all the lies that the party is giving, lies such as there will be people that will be watching, bakabaloa, nangumukabama cameras, boats. All those are lies. And in fact, we repeated it earlier in our earlier segment when we were speaking with Mrs. Piri, the candidate for Kabwe. And the message is very clear. The message is people should know that once they enter the booth, it's between them and God. No one else is involved. There is no camera. There is no tracking. There is no kulodela. There is no prophet who can know how somebody voted. And they need to communicate a clear message through their votes and vote. And so that is what we are looking forward to. I know that this is going to be a very hotly contested election. Emotions are quite high. And so what we are asking is people to tone down a little bit, to tone down the temperature as much as possible. The police should lead the way by toning down the temperature. What happened in Kanyama today, where they already have suspects Something that this police is not famous of doing already. You know, they already have suspects and things like that. I think they need to lower the temperature down as much as possible, as far as this election is concerned. Mr. Mukelabai, we are moving now to you.
Okay. Hello, gentlemen. Interesting. Very interesting indeed. Just to listen to you guys, gentlemen, you really articulate matters perfectly, and it's amazing. I'm following about the happening back home. I'm always online to see. I talk to my families, and what is happening currently, it's really not okay. But in my opinion, I feel like what I see from what I've experienced in countries where other countries have had general elections, and I can smell, gentlemen, Museveni all over our Zambian politics. You see the tactics being used. It's the same tactics that the country used, the so-called dictator. I can't hide about that. We know that that's the fact. There's this politics of intimidation, intimidating the opponents, the opposition, putting them in a very vulnerable situation where they cannot speak out, and when they speak the truth, they are threatened or locked. To me, that is not the politics that we signed for when we decided to go or to venture into multi-party system of democracy in 1991. So to begin with the issue of violence, we know the history. If you go in our archives and check on the political party that has been so violent in our country, you can see that PF will actually be on top, being the perpetrators of violence in the country. So today, when they want to start crying foul to claim that they are the victims of violence perpetrated by UPND, I think it's a laughing matter. I think everyone knows. You know, we know what happened to Saman Sama. May his soul rest in peace. His life was snatched out of this world without any notice. He was taken away from us, and what's the other gentleman's name?
Kaunda.
Their lives were snatched out. And guess how long did it take for them to come up with the so-called suspect? You remember the conspiracies that they started coming up with? The snipers, the militias, whatever, they said a lot of things. But people knew that the only perpetrator, the only person that carries a gun during any public rallies or public gathering, the only people that are authorized are the police. And I personally stated that when that issue happened, I just told the people, my friends, my colleagues, that it is the police that have done this. And they were putting up now those threats. You don't have to say that. You don't have evidence. You will be sued. I said, let me be sued. Because I can tell that how these are the people that went with the guns to control the crowd. So with such kind of background, today, the they are the victims of violence today that even these two deaths that took place, this death that took place, the death of the inverted commas PF cadres, and they already arrested UPND suspects. The issue that we know, like you alluded to say our Zambia police, for them to investigate just to find out who stole a needle takes a year plus. Murder cases, we have people that are languishing in prisons today whose cases are still not taking off because they are still investigating. Suddenly, two PF cadres are gunned or suspected to have been killed by. Already, we have suspects in prison. They've already arrested two people, and they found out which party they belong to already.
Yeah.
So there is something fishy on that already. It's fishy. They smell a huge. Okay, sharp. Na Falklanda, Koswe number Nalalanda film. I can smell a big thing from there. There's something fishy. There's a conspiracy going on in this. And when this young man by the name of Antonio Mwanza, something like that, is it the right name? When
he's Antonio Mwanza.
Yes, when he has been going on national television, telling people before the death, he has been busy telling the Zambian people about the plans of UPND. He has already the information about the militias, about what these UPND people are trying to do. And suddenly, within few days from the announcing of those allegations, two people are dead.
Yeah.
And within 24 hours, actually it was maybe 2 hours, two suspects have been picked, and already they have already found out that they are cadres for UPND. Bane, olokuwe poa, tuilave pwe fifwe mazambianzi, tuisuke mitwe, tualishiva, nomba fecha wapo michintinya baleta, batupele chintinya kumitinya tenga walanda kwechi walaka kwa. They use police cells as a weapon. Twala kukaka. It's only us that are supposed to speak, not you. Don't even negate our president. Don't say negative things about our political party. And that is where we are. So my appeal to my fellow Zambians, both in the diaspora and in Zambia, please let us utilize these gadgets. Even though you uncovered some, let us utilize these gadgets to our advantage. Record as much information as possible and take much evidence. If you suspect anything fishy, record or get a witness so that at least you are two. So that when we confront these people, we have enough evidence. Yes, to Alishwa Makoti, they may want some evidence that were acquired or rather gotten through legal means, not illegal. But like what we are doing right now, we could actually, this information we are giving out to the people, what our opinion can also be used, to prove our matters if at all they decide to take us in court, because we are speaking freely as Zambians. So let us utilize the gadgets for the benefit of our country, record, take as much evidence. When you suspect something, do not shut yourself up, but go ahead and record as much evidence, take as much evidence as possible. The cargo that was unveiled, or that was that accompanied the ballot papers, already the element of 48 houses is already mushrooming through that as well. We can tell where someone refuses. We don't even know who. We don't know who is the owner of those gadgets that they found. The ECZ, they just wash their hands in publicly through their representatives to say they have no clue. And therefore, they go ahead and decide to keep the very gadgets that they refused not belonging to themselves. Why are they keeping them in the, are those gadgets in the custody of the ECZ, or they're in the custody of who? So that is where you have to remember that story in the Bible of a child that was given, two women that were arguing for a child. The real mother, when there was given that stipulation that we cut this child packet, the real mother refused to say no. Musende mupeni uyo ino mukashana mwana wanje. That's the same thing that is happening here, Vane. That by ECZ vakana tite magadgets yao, but eva senda mukusunga. Barika mukastudi yao. Already there, you can tell that. Then who is the owner? What authority are they using to keep those things? And where are the immigration? Where are the Zambia Revenue Authority?
Yeah.
How did those things found themselves in Zambia? Who posted them? Who was supposed to receive? There must be an address. Why are they found in a chartered plane that is paid by the Zambian money, our money? So they love to be poor fee because they know that we Zambians, we will speak like this today. Come tomorrow, nobody wants to talk about it anyway. It will die a natural death, just the way the 48 issue houses died, just the way the fire truck issue died, because we don't pursue matters further to find out the outcome. We always leave things hanging. Kwema Zambiani tula concluda sana, and ati uli omulumendo wa imbe nyimbo ati kuyamba bwino timayamba bwino, but poor finishing mwandi ndiye ile. So let me end there and give time to my fellow listeners to also participate. I'm sorry to have taken much of your time.
No, thank you so much, Wamkelewai. And you know, the issue of the cargo is very, very clear. I said to Musha yesterday, it's either somebody wanted to take advantage of the aircraft and dodge paying tax, or somebody from ECZ wanted to hide behind the ballot boxes and bring this equipment for somebody, and then they were caught. And they forgot to say they were going to, you know, because there's no way that ECZ paying using taxpayer, they could have equipment loaded together with their ballot papers without them knowing where these things are coming from or who they were going to. So I find that very, very strange. And when it comes to violence, I'm very, very worried, Musha. I'm really, really worried that we have 11 days. You know, it has been 7 years. It was 5 years. It was 1 year. It was months and months. Now it's actually 11 days before before the actual voting, Musha. I worry that there might be violence between now. I pray that we don't have any more violence. Right away, as we were speaking, I was monitoring the UPND Youth League, they're live right away on Facebook saying our members are not responsible. They've arrested our members, but these members of UPND people are innocent people because they are using UPND regalia. So, Musha, do we take JR? Is the JR comfortable to make his contribution?
Before you
Percy,
say
I wanted to say something before you
ask
go.
something.
Okay, Musha.
I'm just reading the news, which says Lungu fires police in charge of peace operations. Has anybody got that news?
Yes, we got the news of Mr. Bemba being fired. Yeah, that we saw that.
Although I just saw it because while we are on the program, I'm busy reading also some things on the Zambian scene. That's why I had to ask. Thank you.
No, we saw that he has been retired. Mr. Bemba has been retired in the public interest. We don't know why. But over to you, Musha, and then our friend here, JR, then we conclude.
Yeah, and the seriousness of this is from the name, it's sounding like the person fired could be Lozi. And I'm sorry, but this fits within a pattern of purging certain tribes from the public service. I think it's objectionable. It's not right. You can't have a one Zambia, one nation where you keep retiring in public interest people from a certain tribal region or whatever it is. I don't think it's right. It's not. We shouldn't think that this is normal way of governing where you keep retiring people. That's not right. I'm sorry. Na abalandira kokwena mwandini. Tefe chawefi. We expect something better, but from the government that is almost losing very soon, it's not surprising. I hope they reflect on their own actions and begin making amends. But it looks like within 11 days they decided to take this drastic measure. And peacekeeping operations, how does it apply to public interest? You know, this is peacekeeping operations. How does it affect public interest? What's going on there? It's very concerning. Regarding the violence, of course, I think they've done very well for the UPND to come up and say, even if they're picking up our members, their members are not involved. And I think I would definitely believe the UPND youths. I don't think they are involved here. The Kanyama violence may have been perpetrated by the Patriotic Front itself, because we are aware that there are several factions within it. And so the police needs to take it easy and reflect on their own action and do thorough investigations, not investigations yama dongo, because that's what we've been seeing all along. You know, Saman Kaunda, Mr. Mkelaba, did allude to it. Saman Kaunda dies, they take several months before they actually come back to saying that it was a police officer. So that's a pattern of the police. Now, how can they conclude within hours of those unfortunate murders to conclude that it was actually UPND? That's very concerning, and the Deputy Inspector of Police should not have done that, because that's just inflames tensions and paints the UPND as a perpetrator of violence when that is not the case. We know who is perpetrating violence everywhere. We know who is perpetrating violence in Kasama against the UPND Vice President, and that is completely unacceptable. JR?
JR, unmute yourself.
Yes, so can you get me?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Can you get me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead, JR.
Okay, it has been a rough 5 years of the PF rule, starting from 2016. We saw a lot of scandals, especially in corruption. In terms of corruption, it has become rampant and like a daily bread now. It's become a new normal in our country, starting from the fire tenders issue, where we bought one fire tender at $1 million. The president had kept quiet. No comment from him. No press briefing whatsoever. We had the issue of the ambulances. Still no comment from the president. It was quiet. We had the issue of Mukula. No comment from the president. Has been quiet.
Yeah.
So it's we are living in a country where like you are in a family and there's something happening in the house. Then you expect your father to give guidance. This you have to do A, B, C, D, or you give rules. When no one will be coming at home after 18 hours, the father said that's a rule at home. Now we are living in a country where the father is quiet. So everyone or all the children now, they are making their own rules. That's the reason why we're able to see the honeybees coming in. Why? Because all the children are free now to do what they want. The ministers are free. Boma Nusambo can threaten people. We saw Tutwanguluwe can threaten, break their bonds if you want. So it is a country where like it is on a free fall, just falling. Everything is just coming. Things fall apart. What do we need on the 12th of August? We need to look at the candidate who is someone who can lead this country, who can bring us up to where the country was. Someone we need a leader like an eagle which is on our flag to lift us high and up, where we can all celebrate the Zambia, where we can all enjoy the national cake. When you go in rural areas, it looks as if you've left the country, like you're not in Zambia. You know, there are schools like in Eastern Province. There are no desks. In fact, they're just sitting under a tree. Then you begin to wonder, really, is this a country where we've bought fire trucks that can't even work for $1 million? Why didn't we just build schools? Is this a country where we've removed the BC, the meal allowances from the students?
Yeah, go ahead, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a chance to choose a leadership on the 12th of August. And that leadership should really, really, really look at the plight of Zambians. And for me, I think the one that stands up for now is President Hakainde Hichilema. I don't know about Mr. Mushawi's NDC, but for me, I think President Hakainde Hichilema is the best candidate for this.
No, Mr. JR, I'm NDC, but I've already endorsed Mr. Hakainde Hichilema. Is there a dispute to that?
No, there's no dispute. Actually, you've done well.
Mr. Mpilimba, haven't I already endorsed Mr. Hichilema for president?
Oh, yes, you have actually. I've said it many times. You have.
So no manjishi wejera, echo mwankoselera po padine. Yes, please carry on.
Yeah, but I need to carry on. So we have a chance, we have a choice to make on the 12th of August, and I need to also to thank you, TVBAKWETU. You've done a lot for this country. Your voice really has changed the way people are thinking, and people are liking this page. This is a platform where people really can express themselves. They've got nowhere they can express themselves. They can't cause it NBC. Why? Because it's being controlled. So this is a TV that has really opened up for many views, and people are expressing themselves. Thank you.
Musha, can I just say something just on that one before I forget?
Yes, please.
If TVBAKWETU was in Zambia, I promise you by now we were going to be
IBA.
A history channel.
Seriously?
You were going to join. Is it movie TV? What is that TV
Prime
station?
TV.
Prime TV.
Yeah.
You are now the Prime TV that we have in Zambia, and it's good that you are untouchable because you are far away, and they have been planning either to find ways of coming either to you and cut down this streaming, whatever, but they can't because they cannot control. They have no control. They have no laws that can make you stop or interfere into the Canadian what is it?
General.
So we are lucky to have you around as Bakwetu TV.
General.
It's interesting. Go ahead, Musha.
So I know that the ruling party is watching us. I know that the government is interested in what we do, but I don't think it's that serious of even thinking of putting us into trouble. For what? General.
The topics we tackle, and we are more frank, and people who speak, not somebody, an expert, because I'm not an expert. I know Mr. Mkereva is not an expert. We just feel it. We speak what we feel. And that in most cases, it's like a red line. It's a very thin line, you know, when you are speaking the truth. Basically, that's the main thing, because in most cases, the topics you bring in, they really, they're almost true things which really affects people. That's why we say, if you in Zambia, it's Prime TV time.
Musha, I think we have never minced our words, and we have never apologized for what we believe in. We are not journalists, so we're not restricted by certain ethics, but the only guideline is that we want to tell the truth. We will tell the truth by all means. And the other thing is that we will not insult anybody. We will not insult anybody, but we will call people by their names, by what they are. If they say Renibachi Sushi, we'll call themselves Renibachi Sushi. We will not apologize about that, because that's what they are. And if they are Kerenkas, we will tell them that they are Kerenkas, and we will tell them why we think they are Kerenkas. Musha, we are getting a lot of messages. You know, we are getting so many messages. Me personally, it has just been something. Information coming from civil servants, information coming from everywhere. I mean, what I mean is everywhere. And they're saying, carry on with this information. I mean, even ZNBC reporters saying, do what you're doing, because that's the right thing.
Right.
We get messages from ZNBC reporters saying, we wouldn't be allowed to report what you are reporting, but this is true. Yeah. What you're saying is true. So for me, I wake up with my conscience very, very clear. The other thing is that we want to prove to people that when you are abroad, it doesn't mean you have stopped loving our country.
Right.
We're still patriots. We still love our country. And we love it as much as Mr. Lungu loves it. And the other thing is that I think, Musha, we've tried to unite our country.
Yeah.
We've tried to unite our country. For me,
on a lighter note, just to borrow your words, Vanya, elo bapalya bapisha okunya, elo basinda amazzi yabo, elo bakutushinga, elo bashinga omunawo wati ewunyera.
That got me into trouble, General. I got into serious trouble with.
No, but it's not you who use those words. It is the president of the Socialist Party. So we are
General. There is another Vanya. I think Vamkelava move to Mineva General ka clip ka. It was last year. General Kanshi, you didn't see that one?
No, I think I missed it. Okay. So no, we will tell it as it is.
Yeah.
Until we want to unite our country. I've been pushing this reunite our country, rebuild our country in our party. And it's very, very clear that's what we want to do.
Yeah,
because it really upsets me personally. It really upsets me for anybody to look at my tribe, right? Because my tribe doesn't matter. I'm Zambian. I'm from Mumba, but I've lived in Eastern Province and I've lived everywhere. So what are you going to call me? And that's why when somebody stands up and insults the Tongas, I find it difficult. I find it very, very difficult. And that's why somebody has to come up and say, no, you can't do that. So Musha, I think let's if it means being arrested for doing the right thing, for me, I'm ready for it.
No, I know I've got for what? Why would they arrest you?
First of all, what have we done? What have we done?
General, namupango mlandu.
Somebody was saying you don't even know Zambia. What are you talking about Zambia? You don't even know Zambia. No, some people were saying I was a ghost. I'm not a ghost.
But remember, they can manufacture a case for anybody. You have to remember.
They're able to do that. They're able to do that. They're very able to do that. That's why, for me, when I go home, I've gone home. Not after, before the BAKWETU, I've gone home. I've never told people I'm going home because they can. I've been critical of this government since day one, and so I know to say if I land in Lusaka, they can find a fault. They can create a fault. They can tell you all sorts of stories, but I don't fear. So what we are doing is for the sake of our country. What we are doing is for the sake of our grandchildren, my children and my grandchildren, because I want my children and my grandchildren to live in a better country. So we have somebody called Humphrey. Where is this person from, Musha?
Humphrey, are you there? All right. Okay, on that note, I think we've got to go. I will play. Humphrey, are you there? I will play a song from Chasaya.
Yes, sir, I'm there.
Humphrey's there, Musha. Just a minute. Humphrey, just a few minutes. What do you think about what's going on at home? What do you think about the violence? What do you think about Mr. Lungu's leadership? And what do you think about that cargo which appeared from nowhere? It just appeared in the aircraft.
Sure, sir. Actually, nalalanda mucha kumwesu. Pakweba tifyumfu ilangulushiriandira kutila pamulandu wa fipefye bishishibikwe bwino. Twalipokelela pwefipe ukufuma munchende nangula mufyalo efyalekana outside. Edio bale tumefyo kweba tifise fike muminwe yandi kuno. Bala mpela adresi nango tutilo kweba ti tracking code. Number if you have quarter track code, which means nafi ba specified exactly fidea kuri kampanda. Nomba ngatuwasango kweba ati ifipefyo fyasangwa mufipefyo tatule chita expect kweba ati fisangwemo. Nomba fyakwani because nafi kwatama serial number nafi tufaili yale chita represent nani ukulande chinka bamunshanga na mwebo okidensoko shi nkumbwe shumwakwata pakuti chise chifike muli ine mumino mumwandi ukufuma uko muli kunchende mwala chita specify exactly if pefile ya kuri Humphrey ali kukampanda ali mumusumba waso na exactly place file yako mwalala ndoko batifile ya mumusumba waso nomba na lapokelela shani if pefyo nshishi yoko fifumine badimwe bamunsha mwanje bokwe bati pefile ya kuri Humphrey ukulanda betshinka nga tatwilwiki apa pene aba bantu nabakwate emibele ivi nelangulushi lyabo lyakwe bokwe bati balete intulumundi nangule mpasase echo tatulefwaya and to add on that ukulingana fena security force yesu mu Zambia nga tuwabika bakapokola kuntanshi pali uyu mulandu kwena nabafirwa security mu Zambia tatukwete ifintu ifingi nafirubana ukulingana nokuba bati abantu obo tukwete kuntanshi kuba tyo bale tubakirira nangula batusungirire tatulemuna pwecho yo bamunsha ndi kumufurira pano ndelanda nalifuma ku Lusaka nalisa mukumunefyo bushe UPND legitation kuno bushe chinshile konkapo bushe abantu bali aware na pafire ekitika twasanga okwe bati kuno abantu bali n'omwenso pamulandu nefile ekitika nga niwe UPND you are not protected nga niwe PF that is when you are going to be on a safe side. That is not democracy awe turefayo mulinganya uwafumaluka na totela mkwai elangurushi lyandiro bamunsha munga suke bamunsha busheshwe nsokoshi nga mwantu minaine pantu ngeshikabira mwala tubina mwishi na lyabani chala tukashani
imwe ba Humphrey amuti shinsokoshi mleshikabira ka so ndande
landen mkwai kana besa
awo shireisa mwala ntumina fye address bwino nomba tashake sepa Emirates pantu pa Emirates epo shisa within a day jamonekera tukabomfye DHL eronga tuwabomfye DHL alaira kokola mwewera kokola kula bako limuno kuluba fyaluba bafitwala kumbi bafitwala kumalawe so awo nife fine soko shena shireisa momfa bamfa
nga mwamu iyo kwena ndetotero okufisama kwesu fwe bambi twabapa target so nga mwamune lingiri neta tule ilangisha sana tulachita avoid pantu bali tukonka nikolwe nembwa
awe chamfuika mkwai. Okay, on that note, we are ending this segment of 6 to 6 coverage of the elections in Zambia. We are going to come back with, I think the next program is going to be the virtual rally, which we are going to share. We are not hosting it as TVBAKWETU, but we are going to share the link, and then we are going to encourage you as our followers to listen to the virtual rally and their excellent speakers. And then we are going to come back after the virtual rally with General to wrap up the day. We are still expecting Gary, because once Gary in combo. It's like if I'm left for Gary in combo. So tuaraba data number kwati tabarabuka na number. Obviously bali kwata late night. So tabarabuka. And then we also have an appointment with the Mr. Nyasulu, Victor Nyasulu, Pastor Victor Nyasulu, who is running for mayor. And so we hope to talk to him and several other candidates before the end of the day. Thank you very much, and we will see you in the next segment. General?
Thank you so much to our participants, Percy, Chama, Mr. Mkurevari, and Mr. Mapanda, Kulimba, JR, and Humphrey. Thank you so much, and let's continue passing the message to our people. First of all, to prepare to vote big, so that we can change this government. Yeah. And the second issue is really to protect our people. Let's avoid violence. Let's try and avoid violence by all means. Let's protect ourselves and make sure that we make this government accountable for the things. Like that parcel, the mysterious parcel, I totally agree with you that those boxes must be kept somewhere, not by ECZ, because if ECZ keeps them, they might give them to the owners, because we know where these things are supposed to be going. They are phones, they are going to peer. So I just wish we're the neutral organization to take these boxes and lock them up in a warehouse somewhere until the elections are over. Thank you so much, Zambia. Thank you so much for the participants, especially those who have given money. We'll come back and see you in the next session. And good morning. Musha, you better go and sleep. You haven't slept.
Ndifye bwino, General, I'm okay, Panto. Mamona, Mirange Amanan. I've had all the reds, so I'm only remaining with
with the Greens.
Nah, mukufiposa. Thank you very much. Now, this song is by Mr. Chasaya Sichilima. All right. So we are going to end with this song, and then that's Mr. Chasaya Sichilima.
Very good.
He's a Zambian artist. He's done several albums in Zambia, but he lives in Canada. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Thank you. Have a good day. We'll see you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.